Hey guys, welcome to this new video on our channel, and today we want to talk about check raising multi-way. So which hands could you check raise multi-way and which hands should you check raise multi-way? So let's check out the hand. As you can see, we play 2-5, no limit 500, and a loose villain that has us covered. Limps, we have around 300 big blinds in this 2-5 game. And yeah, Hero wrote that the game was really wild. Everybody was loosey-goosey, and the pots got bigger and bigger. And in those lineups, to be honest, this hand is just a pure full preflop. Cause the problem is that you have 7 high, and it's not a strong hand. Of course, when you're in the small blind or whatever, you can limp behind. When everyone limped, you can also over limp on the button, whatever. This is not a huge deal, but ISOing in early position is not the way to go, because the problem is the pot will be multi-way quite often, and what happens is you always make a weak flush when you make a flush, and so many hands have you dominated. Even when you make 2-pair, it's most of the time not the best 2-pairs, so yeah, 7 high is definitely not a hand that we are looking to ISO, because we definitely want to isolate tighter than we open raise, and I don't think we should open raise way looser than 7-6 suited in under the gun. So please dump those hands. Of course, in late position, so for example, cut off limbs and we're on the button, different story. We can definitely isolate this hand all day long. Super profitable to get the blinds out of the way, get heads up against the VIP, make the pot really big when you got it, bluff really cheap when you got nothing. So super easy, but the problem here is that we will play the hand mainly out of position, and this is just not really profitable. So we should just fold and see what happens. So MP calls, and as you can see, he is Mr. Every Hand, and this should be even more a fold preflop. Cutoff calls, big blind calls, and yeah, the limper calls as well. And yeah, this just leads into problems. So we go 5-way to the flop. But flop is a favorable one. As you can see, it's 5-8 king with 2 hearts. So we flop an open-ended straight flush draw. Awesome hand. And in live poker, we have the problem that we are multi-way quite often. Cause heads up, you can check raise way wider for value and as a bluff. Cause you only play versus one range, and when you only play against one opponent, the bluffing range or the betting range overall is way wider. And 5-handed, when someone bets, the betting range is actually quite strong. That's the problem with multi-way pots. So on this board texture, for example, we can definitely check raise a hand like pocket 5s or pocket 8s. Really hard to have 5-8 suited here, so I think this is the only strong hand, or those are the only strong hands we can have on this board texture. With kings, not looking to check raise most of the time, because when we have 2 kings in our hand, it's just less likely that someone else has a king, so really hard to get stacks in the middle. And we should not only check raise for value, we should also check raise some bluffs, otherwise everyone could just fold. So a hand like this, a monster draw, is always a good idea to check raise, that's for sure. And let's see what Hero did. And yeah, Hero elected to check. Mr. Every Hand bets, loose villain calls, and this is definitely the spot, right? Especially when you play against someone that's playing every hand, that's betting way too wide on the flop, because he can bet so many trash on the flop. Gut shots, weak draws, weak hands, hand like ace-8 for protection, whatever, pocket 7s, pocket 9s. Sometimes they don't even know why they bet when they're playing super loose. And of course, then is the time to put in the check raise. Sizing wise, let's see. So villain bets, how much was it? Okay, he bets half pot, and we make it 6, 12, 18, 24. Yeah, don't mind making it a little bit bigger, given that the loose villain also called his bet. I don't want to give Mr. Every Hand a price that is too good to be true, but this sizing is also okay, I would say. And yeah, now the fun starts. He min clicks it back. Loose villain gets out of the way, and the question here is, should we go all in? Should we 3-bet or should we call? Folding is obviously out of the question because we have so many outs. And here it's important that we try to define villain's range. So what do we think what villain has? Is he making a play with king queen? Does he want to fold to jam with a weak king? Or is he just having nuts? And I would say the vast majority of the time, when people throw at flop, they just have it. Pretty easy. Plus, we block all the monster draws. If villain has another monster draw, a hand like 8-9 in hearts, we are just smoked, right? Against this particular hand, we are just smoked. Or a hand like ace-8 hearts. Yeah, we are in such a terrible shape. He has us so crushed. Would be awful. But with those hands, basically no one is running flop. No one. Ever. And here you can just go with your reads or with your player pool when you play against an unknown. When we assign villain a range of pocket 5s, pocket 8s, 8-5 suited, king 8 suited, king 5 suited, because he's playing really loose, right? So we should assign him also most 2 pairs. He's going nowhere ever when we go all in. But we can just click the call button, get an awesome price, and the fun is when we improve on the turn, we're still getting paid. Because when we call, the pot is already so large, we just have around a pot size bet left, and when villain has a strong hand, he will never be able to fold this strong hand. If we make a straight or the flush, will make no difference. Villain will just feel priced in, and we definitely have a lot of implies with our flop call. But to get it in on the flop, we definitely need more fold equity. But when you go back to overall check raise strategies, we should definitely realize that when we are heads up or three-handed, we can definitely check raise a bit wider. So we can definitely check raise a few more draws than 7-6 suited. Overall, combo draws are also a great candidate to check raise overall, because you have so many outs to improve and you don't have an ace high draw, because a lot of ace high draws also have great showdown value. So a hand like ace queen and hearts, for example, is a great candidate to check call most of the time on a board texture like this, because we also have some showdown value, and when we drill the ace or the queen on the turn, it's really likely that we have the best hand. And value wise, of course, this also depends a little bit on your position. So the later the position is, the lighter you can check raise, because also a strong king can definitely be in your check raise range. Because when we say this spot is a little bit different, so we are hijack, button Mr. Every Hand calls. Of course, we can check raise with a hand like ace king or king queen or king jack and bet turn and bet river for value. So make sure your check raise range is dynamic and you are able to adapt on the player pool. And also make sure to have some bluff check raises in your range, especially against people that stab way too wide. Because when you're value heavy, especially the Rex will realize that. So make sure you have enough bluffs in your check raise range, but pay attention that you don't exploit yourself when you play against a huge VIP and you know, okay, he's never ever folding. Yes, he has a lot of weak top pairs, but he's always calling down. Then it's not the time to go crazy, bet turn, shoving river. Then it's just a time to check call or bet flop, and that's about it. Okay, and here in this hand decided on a jam, and Mr. Every Hand folded. And of course, this was a great play. When you have fold equity and you know, okay, this guy is just crazy. He is out of his mind. He is three-betting flop with some weird hands he should not do. Then, of course, we are just printing. Because even if he has a strong hand from time to time, so for example, he has a two pair, we still have decent equity, plus this fold equity, plus all the dead money. This is super profitable. But never think, oh, I got a combo draw, I should get all the money in the middle, because we still have around 300 big blinds effective. That's a lot of big blinds, so make sure you have enough fold equity in those spots, and when you are unsure, always opt for the call. So the most important thing in those spots is really to break down villain's range as good as you can. And as I mentioned, the later your position, the looser your opponent, the more hands you can check raise, and vice versa. So when we play out of position against 6 opponents, you should actually be quite cautious with a lot of check raises. And we want to just play a way more polarized approach, so only check raise our best value hands. And best draws, and that's about it. So yeah, that's about it for today. I really hope this video was helpful for you, and I'll see you next time.